Okay, so in today's video we have another budget update, of course, and so we're going to be looking at how we ended up spending our money for the month of January, and we're also going to be setting our budget for next month in February too. So I'm always excited to go through the numbers with you guys. You will see there were quite a few changes in this month's budget, so we may as well get started. Okay, so first off, let's have a look at January and see what happened. Now, if you are interested in accessing this template, this is something that you can do as well. So it does come with a net worth statement, a sinking funds calculator, and then you have the choice between a monthly budget template, which is what we're using, or a weekly budget template, depending on how you get paid. So I'll make sure that is linked in the description below for you. But when it comes to January, we started off the month with minus £2, and that was just because we went over slightly in December's budget, so that's how we started. And then we had our total income come in. We then put money towards our savings and investments, which was £1,150. We then paid out our essential bills and also our sinking funds. Now, I'm not going to go into detail with all of these numbers in this video because I did do that in our previous video, so make sure you do check that out if you haven't already. I will link it up here for you and in the description below. But pretty much, as I mentioned in most of my videos, everything that we set when it comes to savings, bills and sinking funds are paid out at the beginning of the month. And then what we will do is we will start to track our general spending, and so let's go over to that now and see how we ended up doing. So first off, let's talk about transport. Now, with transport, we originally had a budget of £120, but we spent less this month, which is always great. I don't know whether that's because maybe gas prices are going down or we just didn't need to travel as much, but we ended up spending £112 instead of £120. So I'm always happy to hear that we're not spending as much on transport, so that's great. Next up, let's talk about groceries. So we originally had a budget of £180, and the reason why we set that budget is because, number one, January is just a slightly longer month when it comes to our payday, so I wanted to make sure that we were prepared for that. But also, it just felt like food prices were increasing again. I mean, I don't know about you, I feel like I'm a broken record talking about this all the time, but I just wanted to make sure that we wouldn't have to go over our food budget, and I really wanted to be realistic. So I did set a budget for £180. However, we only ended up spending £172, and so I thought that was really interesting. I don't know whether it was just the type of food we bought or I should have just kept it at £175, but as you'll see in next month's budget, we've decided to go back to £175 because clearly that is how much we're roughly spending now. So yeah, to be £8 under budget on groceries is always a good thing. Let's now talk about toiletries. So we originally had a budget of £40 for toiletries, and we definitely went over again. So it's like, I feel like the second or third month that we've gone over in toiletries. So we did end up spending £53 instead, and I think that was mainly because we bought stuff that we typically wouldn't buy every single month. So I think this month was just maybe like a heavy toiletries month. I think next month might be back to normal, but we'll see. But anyway, £53 is what we spent in toiletries. Next up, when it comes to our personal spending, so we each allocate £100 to our spending, and usually I tend to spend pretty much all of my spending money, and my husband Yinka will normally save. But this month, I think I had about £10 left over, which was great. And I think that was partly because it was my birthday, so people would treat me rather than me having to actually buy stuff. So that was also amazing. But yeah, to have spent £90 this month is great. I'll either just add it to my next spending money, or I might just add it to one of like my little pots that I have, because I do have a pot for Christmas, I do have a pot for other birthday presents, and so I do want to start building that. But you know, it's always nice to find that you still have some extra money. And if you're liking this video so far, then feel free to give me a thumbs up, as it really does help to support the channel, plus it's free. Okay, so next up, let's talk about personal care. So we had an original budget of £50 with personal care, but we only ended up spending £30 instead. Now, I definitely think that's going to increase next month because my husband recently told me that his barber has increased prices for cutting his hair. And so, yeah, I just want to make sure that we're prepared for that. So it may change for next month's budget. But for this month, we were slightly okay. We only spent £30, which is great. And then after that, let's talk about date night. So in case you're new to my channel, date night also includes any takeaways or anything like that. We pretty much just allocate that into one kind of pot. And so we originally had a budget of £70 for the month of January, but we only ended up spending £55, which is great. So I'm wondering whether I may just kind of decrease that budget going forwards because we tend to not really spend the whole £70. I think that's mainly just because it is cold. I don't like to leave the house when it's cold. I would prefer to just have date night at home. So I think we're just spending less money because we'll usually spend a lot more during the summer. So I think going forwards, maybe over the next couple of months, we'll have it a bit lower. And then when it starts to get warmer again, we'll increase it again. And then with my gym membership, that is a direct debit. So we pay £21.99. My husband actually pays a yearly. That's why it's just my membership on the budget at the moment. And then with Disney Plus, we also pay a direct debit of $7.99. Okay, now let's talk about miscellaneous. So in this area, we 100% went over. So we had an original budget of about £35 for miscellaneous. And then we ended up, I think, doubling that basically. So we ended up spending £66 instead of £35, so almost double the amount we had originally budgeted for. And that was mainly for two things. I think my husband wanted a pair of headphones, and then also we just needed to buy new pillows. We have been thinking about just buying new pillows for a while. I just hadn't really created the sinking fund for it, and then this month it just got to the point where we were like, you know what, we just need some new pillows, and so we decided to buy some new pillows. So that ended up coming out of the miscellaneous fund. So yeah, we ended up spending £66 there. And then after that, my husband's rugby games was paid out, so that was about £45. If you didn't know, because of inflation, they've had to now start charging for matches. I kind of feel that in our spending budget, but it's okay. He has fun when he's playing his games, so I'm happy about that. And then with the rest of the money, we ended up adding that to our pennies jar, and so that's just any loose change we have. We will add it into a little pot and use it over time once it grows. So in terms of spending, we did end up spending about £766. But as you can see, we ended up being under budget by about £7. And I think that was mainly because of transport, and it was a little bit because of groceries as well. And so you can see that even if we go over in some areas like toiletries and miscellaneous, for example, because we've gone under in some areas, it kind of almost balances out. And that's how I like the budget to be. I don't think you need to be so strict with like spending in certain areas. As long as you can kind of adapt throughout the month, for me, I think that's just a great budget. So I'm very happy to be £7 under budget. And now let's have a look at how we've set the budget for the month of February. So moving over to February, and you can see that we have included our underspend for last month's budget, and so that was £7, so we've added that to our budget. Then we have included our income, so we've got my husband's salary, we've also got my salary, and as I mentioned before, with my business account, I don't tend to take much money out of it at all at the moment, and so I kind of use that to pay for all of my other business expenses or other business investments. But later on throughout the year, I think I will start to take money out from there, and then you will start to see that on our budget as well, which is exciting. But that is essentially our total income for the month of February. Next up, let's move over to savings and investments. Now with this month, we're actually saving much less than we would usually save, and that's mainly because of my work and the salary that I received. Because I wasn't working as much, I actually didn't get paid for that, and so the income I've received was a bit less for this month, but it should go back to normal from next month and beyond. And so in terms of our savings, usually we will try to save at least £1,000 and put that towards our savings, but this month we are going to be be saving £800, and that's going to go into our savings for a house deposit, as I've mentioned before. And then we've got another £50 each going towards both of our investments. And so in total, we are going to be saving and investing about £900 for the month of February. Now, when it comes to our essential bills, that hasn't changed from last month either. So we are currently paying £1,100 for our rent, £47.75 for our water bill. Our electricity and gas is currently £50.96, and that is again just because the government is currently helping out with some of that. We also have council tax, which is £129, broadband is £31, iCloud is £158 for my husband, and then we also have our SIM contract. So my husband's is £12 a month, mine is £10 a month, and if you are ever interested in what we use Voxy. So if you're UK based and you're looking for a SIM contract, definitely check out Voxy. I will leave a referral link in the description below for you. And then of course we have our tithes, charity and giving. So we do give tithes to our church as people of faith. It's very important to us, and we also tend to give to others and charity as well because that is essential to us. Let's move over to sinking funds now. And if you're not really sure what sinking funds are, these are basically just expenses that you might want to save up for over time. So the first one is car maintenance. We've got £50 going towards that, and so that is pretty much anything to do with the car. So if we need to pay for insurance, if our MOT is due, and I'm pretty sure our MOT is due in February, so we're going to have to prepare for that, or if we have to pay for things like road coverage or new tires, we basically have a pot of money ready to be used, and we add to that every single month. So that's the car maintenance pot. Then we've got the dentist. So we go to the dentist at least twice a year, and so we add £10 into a pot for that, so that when we're ready to go to the dentist, which I think is April time if I remember correctly, we will then have money set aside ready to be used for the dentist. We've also got my husband's rugby registration, so he also has to pay for his own registration, and that's another £10 that we set aside for that. And then we've also got a pot for clothes, and that's £10 at the moment. So basically every single month we just continue to add extra money, or £10 a month, just into a clothes pot, and then whenever we want to buy something, we have money set aside for that too. And then presents this month, we are going to be adding £10 a month, and then another £10 going towards a skincare pot. So in total, our sinking funds actually comes to £100. Now, usually if you're subscribed to my channel, or if you've seen my previous budgeting videos, you will note that we had actually been setting aside some money for our electricity and gas bills, because obviously thanks to the government we're currently paying less, but this month it's a little bit different. We haven't been able to pay that at the moment, and that is because of something else we're paying for, which is in the spending category. So let's talk about the spending category and see how much we plan on spending in February. Okay, so with our spending category, first of all, we have still set the same amount for transport, so that is £120 going towards transport. Next up, groceries. So I've slightly reduced this after last month's budget, so we've gone back to £175 for groceries, and so hopefully that should also be okay. Toiletries, I have kept it at £40. I mean, we did used to budget £35 for toiletries, so I have slightly increased it. I'm hoping that January was just an anomaly month. I mean, we'll see, but at the moment I've set it for £40. If it now starts to change again and we're spending way more than that, I will probably have to change that again, but we'll keep that the same. £100 is both allocated towards our spending, so that hasn't changed. For personal care, we have allocated a budget for £60. So as I mentioned, because it's likely that when my husband gets his haircut it's going to cost more money, we have made sure that is reflected in our budget. So we have got a budget for £60. And then with date night, we have allocated £50 for this month, and as I mentioned, it's because I really doubt we're going to be leaving the house to go out, because I don't like to leave the house when it's cold. So I think £50 should be okay, but you know, we'll see by the end of the month. And then my gym membership continues to be £21.99. Disney Plus continues to be £7.99. With miscellaneous, we have budgeted £30 for that, and I think it's because we know there shouldn't really be anomalies this month. Like, we don't need to buy new pillows or headphones or anything like that again. So I'm hoping £30 should be enough, but again, we will see. Then we've also got my husband's rugby matches. So again, that's another £45 going towards that. We also had some loose change, so we've added that to our pennies jar. So that's £151. And then lastly, as you can see, we also have £100 for a hotel because of a wedding that we're going to. Now, I actually wanted to start setting up a sinking fund for weddings from this month to be like setting aside a certain amount each month. However, because we're going to this wedding later on in the year, when we were looking at hotels, and because I used to work in the hotel industry, I know that hotels can get really, really expensive the closer it gets. And actually, we'd seen that the hotel was already starting to get more expensive. And so what we decided to do is just pay for it now. And then hopefully from next month, I want to start setting aside money for a wedding pot. So I really want to start a wedding sinking fund because my husband is also a groomsman. So I know he's gonna have to pay for some stuff. And so I just want to be best prepared for that as well. So hopefully this month will go well. And if you ever feel like you are ready to create a budget that actually really works for you, that's very easy to do, allowing you to still be able to save money and also spend money at the same time, but you maybe want some one-on-one support with that, then make sure you do check out my one-on-one coaching because I can help you with that entire process. So do book a call with me to find out more about the program if you ever have considered working with me. So I'll link more information up here for you and in the description below. But in terms of our budget for this month, obviously we aren't saving as much as usual, but that will definitely change from next month. So I think this month should be a decent month, fingers crossed. So if you did like this video, then please do give me a thumbs up if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments, how did your month go for the first month in 2023? Did it go well? Did you underspend? Did you overspend? Let us know in the comments. I do post every Tuesday, so if you would like to know more, then of course you can subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next week.